can't afford John McCain as President of the United States. We got to elect Barack Obama to keep jobs here in Washington, keep jobs here with Boeing, and make sure that the special interests don't do what they've done for the last 8 years. John McCain is 4 more years of George W. Bush, and we can't afford that. Let me just talk a little bit about some of the differences between John McCain and Barack Obama. John McCain's prescription for the economy is 4 more years of George Bush. Cut taxes for the people who make more than $250,000 a year. Do nothing for the 100 million families that have worked so hard and gone backwards during the last 8 years. And cut $1.8 billion in taxes for ExxonMobil, which today is charging $5 a gallon of gas in the state of Florida because of what happened in Texas yesterday.
Right. That's terrible.
I don't understand how John McCain could be at 45 in the polls. He ought to be at 25 in the polls. John McCain, now Barack Obama's plan, anybody here make more than $250,000 a year? Well, Barack Obama's plan is to lower your taxes. The 100 million people that John McCain leaves out get a tax cut from Barack Obama. Seniors who make less than $50,000 get a tax cut from Barack Obama. College students who are struggling to pay their college loans get a tax cut from Barack Obama. All of those people get left out with John McCain. Now we're going to talk about Iraq. You know what the difference between Barack Obama and John McCain is on Iraq? 98 years of our brave troops stuck in Iraq. Now, the Republicans get all bent out of shape. Well, he didn't really say that. Well, in fact, he did say that. He said it would be perfectly fine with him, and I quote. That's the first thing. Then he said, well, he didn't mean they were going to be in combat. Well, anybody who thinks you can send our brave troops to a foreign country like Iraq and not have them shot at and bombed for 98 years does not fundamentally understand what it takes to be Commander-in-Chief of the United States military forces. And I'll tell you what it takes to be Commander-in-Chief of the United States military forces. It means you've got to take care of our troops, not just when they're in the theater of operation, but you've got to take care of them when they come home. And John McCain voted against most of the Veterans Administration appropriations. We need to take care of our men and women when they come home, not just when they're in Iraq and Afghanistan. If you want a strong leader to be Commander-in-Chief, you had better pick Barack Obama, because John McCain will forget all about you when you get home having served your country. We can do better than this. Now, yes, sí se puede. Sí se puede. Yes, we can, and we will. And we're going to do it in 57 days. Now, let me talk a little bit about the difference between John McCain and Barack Obama on health care. Barack Obama has a great plan for health care. I'll talk about it in a second. John McCain's plan for health care was to support President Bush's veto of children's health care. And when Barack Obama has a plan that finally will cover every single American, John McCain calls it socialized medicine. Socialized medicine. Anybody here over 65? Yeah. How do you like your socialized medicine? It's Medicare. Medicare, which every single Republican voted against when we put it in 44 years ago, and they're still trying to get rid of it. McCain's not content with privatizing Social Security. Can you imagine what would have happened if Bush and McCain had privatized Social Security like they wanted to 3 years ago? Where would we be today with this mess in the stock market, which was created by John McCain and George Bush's economic policies? Not content with that, now they're calling Medicare socialized.
Party base and paved the way for Democratic victories all across the country in November. With one obvious goal in mind, to put a Democrat in the White House.
Look, it's very hot in here. You guys have a lot of work to do, so I won't take a whole lot of time. First of all, I want to thank Carol for her kind introduction, but also for leading this effort to make sure that Barack Obama ends up in the White House. Secondly, I think that State Representative Ross Hunter is here. If he is, I want him to wave his hand so we all... And if anybody else is here from the elected official, they better raise their hand, because this is kind of hard to pick you out in the crowd. I also want to thank Jay Inslee for coming by this evening. And I'm going to spend most of my time talking about Barack's race, but I just want to emphasize two other races. One, we can add to the number of Democrats in the United States Congress for Washington by electing Darcy Berner. Because the Republicans always march in lockstep, and sadly Dave Reichert is not an exception to that. They are all Bush Republicans, and if you want change, you can't re-elect Dave Reichert. You've got to elect Darcy Berner. I come to Washington State a lot. This is an important state for us. I probably come here 5 or 6 times, maybe more, during my term as DNC chair. Everybody I talk to, from the business community to the machinists to everybody else, thinks that Christine Gregoire is one of the really great governors. We need to make sure that Governor Gregoire gets elected. Washington is lucky to have Christine Gregoire. We need to keep her. We do not need to turn this over to the far right. This is too good a state for that. Well, as you're all out canvassing and working really hard, we want to make sure that we get this vote total up. We want to make sure that there's a big turnout in Washington State that will elect not only Barack Obama, but also will carry in Christine Gregoire and Darcy Berner, because I know if Barack wins here big, Christine Gregoire will get reelected. And he's definitely going to win in Darcy Berner's district, and we need to have Darcy Berner there too. Before I came in here, I stopped off at the machinists. A bunch of them were just going off to picnic. Let me tell you who the enemy of jobs is in Washington State. His name is John McCain, and he's John McCain is a job killer in Washington State. I have never met a guy who had the nerve to run for president of the United States after trying to ship our jobs elsewhere by supporting the European bid to build American tankers. Those jobs belong here in America. And they're building things for the United States Armed Forces. And John McCain tried to outsource the most important industry here in Washington State. He doesn't deserve any votes from Washington State. He sent your job to Europe. We can do better than that electing a governor. Imagine electing a president who sends your job to Europe. Part of his policy is to send your job to Europe. We can do better than that. We ought to stand with the machinists in this one, because their jobs are at stake, and those are good-paying Washington State jobs. We need to keep them here in Washington State. Well, it shouldn't be a big surprise that John McCain didn't mind shipping your jobs off to someplace else, because he's got 170 lobbyists working for him. 177 of them are managing his campaign. We have a report coming out today. 170 lobbyists. This isn't the campaign